She told me I was moving somewhere special, with birds and helpers. I was holding Lily's sandwich when she said it, like it was just another lunch. No one asked what I wanted. They packed my suitcase, signed my name, erased me gently. And yet I kept folding napkins like I still belonged. Because sometimes the betrayal doesn't scream, it whispers through the hands you trusted most. Follow my story until the end, and comment the city you are watching from. Like this video, tap the bell icon, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the stories again. My name is Eleanor Reeves, and I am 71 years old. I pressed the sandwich halves together, slicing them into neat triangles, just like Lily liked. Her pink lunchbox was open on the counter, waiting for me to fill it with little bits of love. Apple slices, baby carrots, the granola bar with the purple wrapper she always reached for first. She swung her legs at the table, humming a tune she must have learned at school. "Do you want string cheese or yogurt today, sweetheart?" I asked, reaching for the fridge. "String cheese," she said, then lowered her voice. "Mummy said you're moving out today, to a special place." The string cheese slipped from my hand and fell onto the floor. I froze. "What did you say, Lily?" She looked up at me, innocent as ever. "A special place. Mummy said it has helpers and birds. You'll make new friends." I knelt down to pick up the cheese, heart suddenly thudding in my chest. "Did Mummy tell you where this place is?" She shook her head, blonde curls bouncing. "Just that it's not too far, and I can visit sometimes, but only if I'm very good." I stared at her, trying to keep my voice from trembling. "Did Mummy say when I'm going?" "Today." She bit into her toast. "After lunch, I think." I blinked. The light coming through the kitchen window seemed suddenly too bright. I turned back to the counter and kept packing, hands moving on their own. The lunchbox clicked shut. The sound of heels on tile pulled my eyes to the hallway. "Morning," Bree said, appearing like a breeze I didn't ask for. Her blazer was buttoned, her lips matte pink. She eyed the lunchbox. "Oh, good, saved me a few minutes." "Bree," I said carefully, "Lily just told me I'm moving out today." She smoothed a hand down her hair. "Oh, did she?" Her smile was stretched too tight. "Kids repeat things strangely. Don't worry her." "So, I'm not." "I didn't say that," she replied, gently lifting the lunchbox from the counter. "Let's talk after breakfast. No need to make it a big deal." I nodded slowly, but something hollow opened in my chest. Lily skipped out the front door to wait for the bus. Bree handed me the mail like nothing was wrong. Bills, junk, a glossy catalogue addressed to no one. Then she turned and walked off toward her office. I heard the bathroom door click open upstairs. Darren's footsteps were heavy on the landing. He came down, fastening his watch, face stiff. "Morning, Mom." "Darren." He kissed the top of my head, barely, and reached for his keys. "Lily said, I'm late for work," he cut in. "Can we talk later?" "Is there something I should be packing?" I asked, voice quiet. He paused, hand on the door. "There's a folder on the dining table," he said, not turning around. We thought it might help explain. Then he left. I didn't move for a moment. The refrigerator hummed behind me. Somewhere outside, a dog barked twice and stopped. I wiped my hands on a dish towel, folded it slowly, then walked into the dining room. The folder was black, thick, heavy. I sat down. Options for independent senior living. The first page read, in cheery teal font. The second had a photo of an older woman smiling with a Labrador. The third was about shuttle services and garden access. There were sticky notes in Bree's handwriting. Private room available 8/2. Closest to Lily's school. Good reviews for memory care. Future. I flipped through the rest in silence, feeling my body grow still while my mind buzzed. They picked out places, compared them, set dates, all without saying a word to me. So this wasn't a conversation, it was an arrangement. I closed the folder. My hands didn't shake yet, but they felt cold. Lunch was quiet. Bree didn't speak much. Darren wasn't home. Lily chatted about a drawing contest. After she went up for her nap, I returned to the kitchen. The lunchbox was back on the counter, emptied. I reached for it out of habit, began wiping it clean, folding the napkin, refilling the side pocket. My hands moved like always, like they still belonged in this house. But halfway through, I looked down and saw them shaking. Not wildly, just enough to blur the Ziplock bag in my fingers. I folded it anyway, neatly, with care, because that's what I did. Even when everything else around me stopped making sense. Even when I was no longer invited to stay. "Mom, can you come downstairs for a second?" Darren's voice called out. I dried my hands with a dish towel and looked toward the staircase. Something about his tone made my stomach pull tight. Bree was already seated on the couch when I entered the living room. She didn't look up, just tapped at her phone, legs crossed perfectly, her red nails catching the light. Darren stood near the fireplace, arms folded. I glanced around. "Should I sit?" "There's not really time," Bree said without lifting her head. "This won't take long." I looked behind me. The armchair I usually sat in, my blue one, was gone. My voice came out smaller than I meant. "What's this about?" Bree finally looked at me, smile polite, clipped. "We've been thinking about your next step." "My next step?" "For comfort," she added quickly. "Safety, peace of mind, professional care. You know, support." I frowned. "Support for what?" She looked at Darren, and he cleared his throat. "You've done so much for all of us, Mum," he said. "We just think maybe it's time for you to be somewhere that focuses more on your needs." I didn't realize my needs weren't being met. Bree chuckled softly, like I'd said something silly. "Of course they are, but there's a level of attention we can't always provide. Lily's getting older, our work schedules, the chaos." "You mean I'm in the way?" I said quietly. "No," Darren rushed in. "No, Mom, it's not that. It's about peace," Bree finished for him. "And boundaries." I looked down at my hands, then back up. "So this is a nursing home." Bree's smile stiffened. "It's not a nursing home. It's an independent living community. You'll have your own space. You can decorate. There's a garden. I have a garden." "Mom," Darren's voice dropped. "This isn't meant to feel like punishment." I stepped forward. "Then why does it?" He looked away. "I'm not sick," I said. "I'm not confused. I make Lily's lunches. I help with laundry. I cook every dinner. I've never asked for anything." "That's kind of the point," Bree said. "You never ask, but it's always there. The presence, the expectation." "What expectation?" "To stay," she said softly. "Forever." I swallowed hard. "And what if I want to stay?" Darren's jaw tensed. "It's best, Mum." I stared at him. "Is that what you really think?" He nodded once, eyes not meeting mine. No one asked what I wanted. No one offered me a chair. "Have you already chosen the place?" I asked. "We've narrowed it down," Bree said. "There's a folder on the table." I looked to the dining room. The black folder from earlier was still there, closed now. And when was I going to be told? Bree smoothed her skirt. We were waiting for the right moment. But things are moving. There's a room becoming available this week. And you didn't think to ask if I'd like that room? It's not about like, she said. It's about what's appropriate. I took a step back. My feet felt heavy on the carpet. Bree stood up, smoothing her blouse. We'll help you pack this weekend. There's no rush. It'll be a soft transition. I didn't respond. My mouth felt dry. Thank you for understanding, she added. Darren finally walked over. Mum, I'll come by your room later and help with anything you need, all right? I looked at him. My room? He nodded. I turned and walked toward the stairs. I didn't say another word. When I opened the door to my bedroom, I stopped cold. My drawers were half empty. A box of sweaters sat near the closet. My photo frames were gone from the nightstand. On the wall, a fresh hole where the painting of Lily's drawing used to hang. I opened the closet. My suitcase was already unzipped. 2 folded nightgowns sat inside. They hadn't told me. Because they didn't need to. This wasn't about discussion. It was about removal. When I walked back downstairs, I passed the dining table. The black folder sat perfectly aligned, untouched. A single sheet of paper poked out from beneath it. The mail slot clinked. I turned my head just slightly and saw it. A new label. Their last name. Just theirs. Mine was gone. I went back to the kitchen, folded the towel, and sat down at the empty table. No one offered me a chair, because I wasn't staying. Ready? Bree's voice rang out, too bright for the dim hallway. I stood by the coat rack with my small suitcase. She'd chosen the navy roller bag for me, the one Darren used for work trips. It felt wrong, like I borrowed someone else's life by mistake. Where's Lily? I asked. Bree slipped her keys into her purse. At a playdate. It's easier this way. I blinked. I didn't get to say goodbye. She offered a soft smile. She'll visit soon. Let's not make it a big thing. I nodded, swallowing the sting in my throat. Bree grabbed the suitcase before I could and wheeled it out the door. I followed. The car ride was quiet at first. She hummed to a pop song on the radio, tapping the steering wheel like we were going on vacation. I checked the forecast. She said after a while, "It's always warm there. You'll love that. I know your joints get stiff when it rains." I kept my eyes on the passing trees. You remembered. Of course, she chirped. And the food there? Amazing. They do this lemon chicken with capers. Very Mediterranean. Sounds fancy, I murmured. She smiled wider. You deserve it. And there's a hair salon on site. You won't even have to leave the building. How convenient, I said, almost too softly. We passed a sign that read, Silver Pines Retirement Community, 2 miles ahead. Bree cleared her throat. They call it a community, not a facility. It's not what you're thinking. It's lively. You'll meet people. And if I don't want to meet people? She paused. You will. I looked down at my hands. My wedding ring had worn thin around the back. I twisted it slowly. We pulled into the parking lot. The building looked like it had been scrubbed too hard. Beige walls, spotless windows. Flower beds so perfect they looked plastic. A young woman in lilac scrubs stood at the entrance, holding a clipboard and waving like we were expected. Bree smiled and waved back. That's Hannah, your welcome coordinator. My what? It's just a term. Makes it feel more personal. Inside, the air smelled of artificial lavender and bleach. Everything was clean and bright, but not warm. It reminded me of a hotel that forgot how to be a home. Hannah handed Bree the clipboard. You can just sign the initial forms here. The rest will do an intake. Bree didn't even glance at me. She just took the pen and signed quickly, flipping pages. I reached for the brochure in Hannah's hand. It had a smiling older couple on the front, walking a golden retriever. Do I get a dog too? I asked, forcing a smile. Hannah looked confused. Oh no, ma'am. That's just for marketing. Bree giggled. She's joking. But I wasn't. Once the paperwork was done, Hannah offered to take me on a mini tour. I declined. Bree stepped forward and pulled me into a hug. Look at this as a reset, she whispered against my ear. You'll get used to it here. I didn't hug her back. She straightened her blazer and turned to go. Tell Lily I love her, I said. She paused, nodded once, and left. Didn't look back. I stood by the glass doors, watching her SUV back out and disappear around the corner. My suitcase sat at my feet. Hannah gestured to the hallway. Let me show you your room. I nodded and followed, my feet heavy. The hallway walls were lined with floral wallpaper and small framed quotes about gratitude and sunshine. None of them meant anything. My room had a single bed, a low dresser, a window overlooking the parking lot. The suitcase sat on the edge of the bed, waiting. I opened it slowly. Clothes, neatly folded. A new box of multivitamins. A labeled pill organizer. No photos. No Lily drawings. No scarf from my late husband. No chipped mug I used every morning. None of me, just items. I sat on the edge of the bed and let the silence settle. This wasn't a place for me to live. It was a place for them to forget I'd ever been there. I sat still, listening to the ticking wall clock, and realized even the sound didn't belong to me. E12. I placed a red chip on my card without looking up. A soft cough echoed from the next table. Across from me, a woman in a knitted lavender sweater stared straight ahead. She hadn't moved a single piece. N37, the activities aide called out. I nodded like I cared. I didn't. The room smelled like hand lotion and warm applesauce. People clapped when someone yelled, bingo. But it always felt too loud for how empty the room was. This is the fun part. A man beside me whispered. I turned. He looked about my age, wiry white hair, a kind smile. I'm Ron, he said, holding out a trembling hand. Eleanor, nice to meet you. First week? Is it that obvious? He chuckled. You still look like you're waiting to wake up. I offered the smallest smile I could manage. Maybe I am. At breakfast the next morning, I sat by the window with a bowl of oatmeal and nothing to say. A woman named Helen told me for the third time how she used to teach second grade. I nodded each time like it was new. Another man asked if the toast was gluten-free. I didn't know. I didn't care. The room buzzed with the same music playing every morning. Light jazz with no lyrics. It made everything feel blurry, like time didn't pass here the same way. Morning, sunshine, a voice said behind me. I turned. It was Carla, a nurse with brown eyes that actually looked at me when I spoke. You surviving? She asked, pulling up a chair. I'm breathing. She raised an eyebrow. That's a start. I sipped my tea. How long have you worked here? Too long. Do people ever leave? She paused. Depends what you mean by leave. I mean, get out, go home. She tilted her head. People settle in. That's not what I asked. Carla studied me for a moment. It's rare, but not impossible. I looked down at my spoon. Do they have to ask permission? She didn't answer that. Instead, she reached into her scrubs pocket and handed me a pen. Write it down, she said. What? Whatever's boiling in that quiet head of yours, write it. Doesn't matter if you mail it or burn it. Just don't let it sit there too long. That afternoon, I skipped group yoga and sat in the library instead. It smelled of dust and plastic covers. I found a notepad in the desk drawer. Dear Lily, today, I pretended to stretch in a circle of strangers while thinking about your first dance recital. You wore sparkly purple shoes. I remember how you wiggled more than you danced, and still, you looked proud. I clapped louder than anyone. I stopped, ripped the page out, folded it, tucked it into my book. The next one began, Dear Darren, I don't know what's more painful, that you put me here, or that you don't call to see if I'm okay. I didn't finish that one either. By the end of the week, I had 6 letters and no envelopes. It was a Friday evening. Carla had helped me figure out how to connect my tablet to the internet. It's slow, she warned, but it works. Thank you. I sat on the bed and opened my browser. At first, I searched for lemon chicken recipes. I don't know why. Maybe I just wanted something that reminded me of my own kitchen. Then I typed our old home address into the search bar. It popped up. First link, charming 3-bedroom with updated appliances, quiet neighborhood, available for immediate rent. The photo showed my living room, the green armchair, the floral curtains I sewed myself. The caption read, listed by Bree Thompson. I stared at the screen. Not our home, not family memories or downsizing with care, just a property listing. She'd already taken it, already moved on. I closed the browser, folded my hands in my lap, and for the first time in days, I didn't feel numb. I felt something solid and sharp forming beneath my ribs. Carla poked her head in during evening meds. You okay? I nodded. I just need paper. What for? I looked up at her. Letters, real ones. She smiled gently. Writing to someone? I looked out the window. Eventually. That night, I slept with a pen under my pillow, like a child hiding a secret she plans to make real. I woke up early, not from the nurse's knock or the hallway chatter, but from habit. Years of waking to make birthday pancakes, tie bows, light candles. I used to leave cards on the kitchen counter before anyone else was up. Now, I sat in bed and waited for the phone to ring. Nothing. I brushed my hair slower than usual. Put on a fresh blouse. Carla once said pink brought out my skin tone. I picked pink. At breakfast, no one mentioned it. No staff announcement. No birthday girl sticker. Ron smiled from across the table. You look nice today. Thanks. Got plans? I shook my head. Not really. Another woman leaned over. You waiting on family? Maybe. She gave a sad sort of smile and went back to her eggs. By noon, I'd stopped checking the clock. I sat in the common room, pretending to read. The television played a daytime quiz show. No one watched it. We just stared past it. I kept my hands in my lap, phone screen down on the side table beside me. Still nothing. It was nearly 4 o'clock when Carla appeared. She walked in, holding a tiny plate with a slice of lemon cake and a crooked candle stuck in the center. No singing, she said. I draw the line at singing. I blinked. You knew? I checked your chart this morning. You didn't have to do this. I did. She sat down beside me. You've been quiet today, quieter than usual. I gave her a small smile. Guess I was expecting something. Family? I nodded. She reached into her scrub pocket and handed me a paper napkin. Lemon cake helps, a little. I picked up the fork. It's good, I stole it from the staff lounge. We sat in silence while I ate. She didn't push. That's what I liked about Carla. She never filled the quiet just to make noise. A few minutes later, an aide popped in to ask about a missing medical chart. Carla stood up. "I'll be back," she said. I nodded. As she walked away, I heard someone across the room say, "I haven't had a birthday call in 10 years. After the second year, I stopped expecting." I didn't look up. I just set the fork down, candle still upright. Maybe this was what forgetting looked like. Not loud, not cruel, just empty. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, brushing my hair again. A habit I couldn't drop. There was a knock. "Come in." Carla stepped in, holding a thin white envelope. Mail came late. "Forwarded from your old address." I reached out. My name was written neatly in blue ink. No return label. "Do you know who?" She smiled. I glanced. "You'll want to read it alone." I held it in my lap after she left. It felt heavier than it should. I peeled the flap open. Inside, a letter from Harold, my late husband's lawyer, dated 3 months ago. "Dear Mrs. Reeves, per Harold's instructions, please find enclosed a copy of your property deed, still in joint ownership, pension status updates, and notice of a dormant trust account under your name. No action has been taken yet, pending your acknowledgement. We are available for discussion when ready." My fingers trembled slightly. Attached were 3 papers. One showed the house, my name still on it. Another listed the pension account. The last, the trust, created 22 years ago, left untouched, under my name only. I read them twice, slowly. Then I folded everything and slid it back into the envelope. I turned off the bedside lamp and slipped the envelope under my pillow. I may not have gotten a phone call, but tonight I remembered something they tried to make me forget. I still had a name, and it was written in ink. "Hello? Yes, this is Eleanor Reeves." I clutched the receiver in the tiny library corner, where the phone still had buttons. My voice felt shaky, but steady enough. "I received a letter forwarded here. It had your firm's name at the bottom." "Yes, regarding a deed and a trust." A pause. "Yes, I'd like to speak with someone. Not on the phone. In person, if possible." Another pause. "I'm at Silver Pines. It's a care facility." I hated that word. "Tomorrow? Yes, that would be fine. Thank you." I hung up, pressing my hand over my chest. Carla passed by the door and peeked in. "You look like you just stole a car." I raised my eyebrows. "Do I?" She grinned. "A little. I have a meeting tomorrow. Friend or foe? I'll let you know after." Monica showed up the next afternoon, late 20s, blazer too big for her frame, brown curls tucked behind her ears. She smiled with her whole face. "Mrs. Reeves?" "Eleanor, please." We sat in the corner booth of the recreation room, just far enough from the TV and domino table. She opened her leather folder. "Thank you for calling. I read the original file your husband prepared before he passed. It was meticulous." "That sounds like him." She nodded. "I just need to ask a few things to understand what happened." "I was moved here 2 weeks ago," I said. Without a conversation. I was given a folder, not a choice. "Who signed the transfer?" "Bree, my daughter-in-law. She handled everything. My son didn't say much." "And the home? The one listed in the documents?" "My name was on it. Still is, I believe." She flipped a page. "Yes, it is. Joint ownership. No transfer, no sale. She doesn't have the authority to rent it without your consent. She's already listed it online." Monica's pen froze. "Did you sign any power of attorney forms?" No, nothing recent. She can't do any of this legally. Not the financial shifts, not the move, not without your permission. I stared at the tile floor. And yet, here I am. Her voice softened. Would you like to pursue this? I want the truth, I said. I want to know what they've touched. What's still mine? Monica smiled. Then let's start. That evening, I sat in my room with a fresh notebook in my lap. Carla had brought it earlier, along with a working pen and a wink. Thought you could use more pages. Thank you. Just doing my job. I began writing slowly. Day 1. No call, no visit. Bree dropped off the suitcase and left. Day 4. Asked about medication refill. Bree didn't return the call. Day 7. Saw Lily's old photo on the staff fridge. Had to step outside. Each line gave shape to what had felt like fog. I flipped to the back and began listing items I remembered from the house. Jewelry, furniture, savings paperwork. Everything Bree might have claimed. I wasn't sure what Monica would need. But I wanted to be ready. She came back 3 days later, this time with printouts. Your trust fund is untouched, she said. Not a single withdrawal. It's still under your name only. And the pension? Still coming in monthly. Bree redirected the mailing address, but not the account. She's waiting, I said, for me to disappear quietly. Monica hesitated. Most people in your position don't question anything. They assume it's too late. I looked at her directly. It's not. No, she said. It's really not. She leaned forward. Do you want this to go to court? Eventually. But first, I want to see what they do when they think I know nothing. Her eyebrows lifted. Playing it quiet? For now. She smiled. I like you. I closed the notebook and tapped the cover gently. Let me know what else you need. I'll be in touch soon. She stood, adjusted her blazer, and walked out. I sat for a long while after she left, and for the first time in weeks, I smiled. Not for politeness, not for staff, just for me. I didn't feel small anymore. I felt sharp. She signed as your guardian, Monica said, her voice flat. I sat still on the bench outside the garden room, the paper trembling only slightly in my hand. She checked a box on the rental paperwork, claimed you were mentally unfit to handle decisions. No legal documentation to back it up. No physician sign-off. Just a pen stroke. She took everything while smiling at me over breakfast. I whispered. Monica leaned in. She also accessed one of your joint accounts last month. There's a transaction for a deposit on a new car. Let me guess, I said. A white SUV. Monica's brow lifted. You saw it? I sat beside it, while she handed me a lemon cake and said I'd get used to it here. She didn't speak. I didn't need her to. What now? I asked. We file, quietly, at first. I'll submit the complaint and petition for financial fraud and elder coercion. You won't need to appear until the hearing. When? 3 weeks. I nodded. I also think we should move to freeze the trust until this is resolved. Yes. Carla agreed to give a statement, she added. Said she was there the day you arrived. That you didn't even know where you were going until the door opened. She's brave. You all are, Monica said. You just needed someone to say it out loud. I folded the paperwork and slipped it into my notebook. Will they know I'm filing? Not until they're served. That gives us time. Good. I stood slowly, steadying myself. My voice came out clearer than I expected. I want to write Lily a letter, just in case. Something she can read when she's older. That evening, Carla peeked her head into my room. You busy? Not really. She stepped in and handed me a warm cup of chamomile. For courage. I smiled. I need an envelope. She reached into her pocket and pulled one out. Already brought two. I laughed quietly, always one step ahead. I sat down at the desk, lit the little lamp, and opened my notebook. Dear Lily, if you're reading this, you're probably old enough to understand what happened, or at least wonder. I want you to know I didn't leave you. I was moved, without asking, without fairness. But I'm okay now. I'm doing something brave. I want you to grow up brave too. Kindness is good, but silence when something is wrong isn't kindness. Never let someone take your voice, not even if they smile while they do it. Love always, Grandma. I folded the page carefully and sealed it. Hold on to it, I asked Carla. She took it, placed it in her pocket without a word, and nodded once. A week later, I slipped a card into the outgoing mail basket by the front desk. Carla watched from the hallway, raising an eyebrow. Birthday card, she asked. For Darren. Her eyes narrowed. That so? I shrugged. Simple message, no fluff. What did you write? I smiled, faintly. One sentence. 3 days passed, then 5. On the 6th morning, I received a text from Darren. Mom, got the card. Can we talk soon? I didn't reply. Later that night, I reread the copy of the card I'd kept in my journal. I remember everything. No threats, no emotion, just truth. And for the first time since they'd taken my chair, my house, and my name from the mailbox, I knew they'd finally heard me. Power doesn't always come from speaking louder. Sometimes, it comes from saying less. I was halfway through folding laundry when I saw them through the window. Darren's car pulling into the visitor lot. Sleigh bells stitched into red knit. 2 figures stepping out. Bree in heels too high for gravel. Darren trailing behind. Matching sweaters, red with little white snowflakes. I almost laughed. Almost. They didn't call ahead, didn't text, didn't ask. They just showed up. Carla poked her head into the laundry room. You expecting family today? No. Should I stall them? No, I said. Let's get it over with. I met them in the front lounge. Darren opened his arms like I was meant to melt into them. Hi, Mom, he said. Bree leaned in for a kiss on the cheek. You look so bright. I didn't return either gesture. You both coordinated. Bree laughed, brushing invisible lint from her shoulder. We do that every year. Family photos at the fireplace. Charming. We thought we'd surprise you, Darren said. It's been a while. They sat across from me on the floral sofa. Bree crossed her legs and adjusted her scarf. Have you been well? She asked. They say the food here's decent. Depends on who's paying for it. There was a pause. Darren cleared his throat. We were thinking, Bree continued, maybe you'd like to come home for the holidays. Home, I repeated. Yes. You know, just for a few days. To visit. Lily would love to see you. She could have seen me all year. Bree smiled tightly. Well, things got busy. Too busy for birthdays. Or calls. Darren shifted. Mom, you're not here for small talk, I said, my voice low. So say what you came to say. Bree glanced at Darren, then back at me. We've heard things. What things? Rumors, she said. Letters. Legal stuff. I tilted my head. I thought I was confused, not capable of filing complaints. Another pause. Bree reached into her bag and pulled out a small red gift bag with glittering tissue paper. We didn't come to fight, just to make peace. It's Christmas. She handed it to me like it was heavy. No hard feelings, right? She added softly. I didn't touch the bag. You always wrap things in glitter when you want to cover up the rot. Mom, Darren said sharply, that's not fair. I finally looked at him. Is it not? He looked away. Bree sighed and stood. We just thought, maybe things could be civil again. Civil, I repeated, after fraud, lies, and silence. We miss you, she said. No, Bree, you miss control. She stiffened. We should go. I agree. Darren placed a hand on my shoulder, barely a touch. Merry Christmas, Mom. I didn't answer. I waited until their footsteps faded. Only then did I lift the gift bag. Inside, a bottle of lavender lotion, a pair of fuzzy socks, and at the bottom, a crumpled receipt. I unfolded it. Withdrawal. My name. My account. 2 weeks after I'd been moved here. The exact amount Bree had once said she'd never touch without asking. I folded the receipt back and placed it in my lap. That night, I opened the box Monica had given me. Inside was my court outfit, navy slacks, a crisp blouse, the pin Harold gave me on our 30th anniversary. I laid it out on the bed, pressed every crease flat. I didn't dress for them anymore. I dressed to be seen. The courtroom was colder than I expected. Not the temperature, the air. The kind of cold that comes from silence, stretched too thin. I sat beside Monica, hands resting flat on the table. My nails were short, no polish, just clean. The same blouse I'd laid out weeks ago held its press like armor. Monica leaned in. You good? I nodded. Steady. Across the room, Bree adjusted her pearl necklace like it choked her. Darren wouldn't look at me. He sat with his hands folded between his knees like a schoolboy caught in the hallway. The bailiff called our case. The judge glanced at the file. Thick. Annotated. Mrs. Reeves, you're here today to respond to a petition concerning asset transfers, power of attorney misuse, and involuntary relocation. Do you understand? I do. Please proceed. Monica stood and outlined everything. Clear, calm, firm. The defendant, Mrs. Bree Thompson, transferred Mrs. Reeves to a care facility without medical clearance or legal authority. She posed as a guardian and accessed financial accounts, all without Mrs. Reeves' consent. Bree's lawyer objected. There was no malicious intent. Mrs. Thompson acted out of concern. She listed the home on a rental site 2 days after Mrs. Reeves was placed in the facility, Monica replied, and used funds from Mrs. Reeves' savings for personal purchases. The judge raised an eyebrow. Is that true, Mrs. Thompson? Bree stood, her voice light, almost rehearsed. Your Honor, Eleanor was struggling. She seemed lost, forgetful. We didn't want to embarrass her. We thought this was best. The judge turned to me. Mrs. Reeves, would you like to speak? I stood slowly. My voice was steady. They never asked me what I wanted. They wrapped their control in kindness. But I was not confused. I was inconvenient. Silence. They told my granddaughter I was going to a special place. They packed my bags behind my back. My name was removed from the mailbox, like I'd died. I paused. But I didn't die. I waited. And I remembered. The judge nodded. Thank you. When the ruling came, it was quiet. The court finds in favor of Mrs. Reeves. Full ownership of the residence shall be returned. Further review is required regarding financial coercion and unlawful guardianship. Bree gasped. Darren covered his face. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I simply sat. Outside the courtroom, Darren approached me, eyes glassy. Mom, please. I stopped but didn't answer. She didn't mean to. She did, I said. He nodded, slowly. I didn't stop her. No. He looked down. I don't know how to fix it. You don't, I said. But you can teach Lily what it means to listen. He reached for my hand. I stepped back. Weeks passed. The smell of lemons filled my kitchen again. I cut the sandwich diagonally, apple slices beside it, a note tucked in the top flap. Lily walked in wearing her school shoes and a ribbon in her hair. She stopped. Her eyes scanned the room like she couldn't believe it was real. Mommy said you live here again, she whispered. I knelt beside her and zipped the lunchbox. Yes, darling, I smiled. I never left. Because home isn't something you get permission to keep. It's something you stand for.